Hello everyone, welcome to Close Up on America's Business, the program that takes you inside some of the most unique and successful companies in America. I'm Janice Marie. On each edition of our show, you have the opportunity to meet some of the most innovative business leaders in the country today. You'll find out what their products, services, technologies, and business models can do for you, and what they're doing to change our world and to change the way we do business.
Engineering is a very complex and specialized field. It doesn't much matter whether you're talking about a small ball bearing or a very tall building. Somewhere along the way, an engineer was very much involved. In the world of construction, the work of the structural engineer is key to making certain that everything that goes up doesn't come down. And here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, one of the names that has become synonymous with outstanding in the world of structural engineering is the firm of Frank Neal and Associates. For the past 26 years, this outstanding group of people has been providing services to clients not only here in the state of Texas, but for that matter, all around the world. The founder and president, Frank Neal.
We're structural engineers, and we frankly do all kinds of projects, about anything that somebody wants us to do, and there are a lot of different people who walk in our front door. We try to accommodate whatever their requests are, whether it be a small project or a large one. Structural engineering is the process of designing the components that are required to support a building, whether they be columns or beams, foundations. It also applies to other types of structures like bridges or retaining walls or anything that we're trying to resist the forces that Mother Nature is imposing upon us, like gravity or soil loads or something of that nature.
So much these days talked about going green. Can you tell me about your involvement with the environment and how you try to make things better?
We have on staff an engineer who is LEED certified. In the structural engineering field, it is not as prevalent as it is in architectural or the mechanical engineering field. But we feel very sensitive in the fact that we can offer some of our suggestions which will help provide a LEED certified building.
When I got out of college, I worked for a construction company working on bridges, and then when I came to work here, I spent some time working on buildings, and it's the size of the loads. That in a building you have people, you have wind. In bridges you have trucks and you have other heavy vehicles. And so, as a friend says, the loads are real. They're not imaginary, they're real. That the bridge will carry what you think it will, and that can be problematic. In the last couple of years, we've done several interesting bridges. One was for the city of Fort Worth that was very standard construction, but it was to a new site. The city needed access, oddly enough, to one of their landfills, and they just needed a new route in because our old route was becoming too expensive. We had to get over a creek and up to the top of the landfill. We also, in the last couple of years, have done a fairly long railroad bridge that matched a twin structure. It was a portion of a project that won a design award.
What about bridges in an actual body of water? How do you actually know how deep to go?
We would get information from a geotechnical engineer. They would go out, they would do a series of borings and tell us what's down below grade. The couple of the bridges I mentioned, we didn't have that problem. We could span across. An issue though is if you're actually building in the water, how do you construct it so that you can do it in the dry? And we have, for contractors over the years, done what are called cofferdams. And they're basically steel-walled structures that you have to brace to hold the water out. And we've done that on a number of occasions. And basically you drive it into the ground, you put support in, and then you pump it dry. So you have a dry workspace surrounded by water.
We've worked with Six Flags for about the last 12 years. We've been the project engineer for all the major rides and attractions they've put in that period. We work with the ride manufacturers to design the foundations and the buildings necessary to integrate the ride into the park. We've been fortunate to work with them. It's been interesting work and a challenge. The latest one we did was Tony Hawk's Big Spin. They're both roller coasters there. The actual roller coaster is purchased as a package from a company. and we take their information and we design all the components to support the ride. We're in the design phase of the project. From the inception of the project to when construction begins is when most of our work is done. During construction, we go observe the construction process to make sure it's being done the way that we designed it.
One of the things about engineering that I enjoy is that we get involved in all fabrics of society. I'm standing in front of what's called the horse fountain, and this is a recreation of a fountain that was built many years ago by the commissioners for Tarrant County, simply to provide water not only for the populace but for horses as well. Horses which brought the produce and people to the courthouse to do their business. We get involved in maintaining the courthouse that's behind me as well. We've just been up in the clock tower to look at some issues to make sure that the tower is being maintained properly so it doesn't deteriorate further.
Clients will hire us to go out and take a look at the different phases of construction. They want to know that as the building is being built, that the contractor is building it the way that we're indicated on the drawings and the specifications. I do some of the larger projects, maybe some of the hospital work that we do here, strip shopping centers that have multiple buildings in them, one that had like 5 anchor stores in them, so they were all large buildings, and then interspersed with that were smaller buildings. Hospital work, you've got a lot more mechanical involved in the hospital. All the medical gas, piping, all the rooms have plumbing in them, so they have all the plumbing coordination, and depending on what the structural system is, if it's a concrete pan joist, you have to lay the pans out so that you're not interfering with the function of the rooms, which is a shower pan has to be in a specific spot. So you want to lay out your framing so that you're not forcing them to move.
BIM, Building Information Models, is that right? What is that all about?
The next technological phase of both structural engineering and design of buildings is going to be what they call building information models. This will incorporate the collaborative effort of all the design entities to create a model. Although it's on computer, it'll be something as if you were actually building a stick figure of the building and all the pieces that are within it. It's a system by which all the design groups will offer their information and then create this model, and through this effort the building will essentially be built in the computer, and the contractor can take that model and turn around and use it for his actual construction as well.
There's different components to the building. There's the steel frame, there's the foundations, and we pick out the best building systems for it, and we look at the loads that are required for that building, the wind loads, the snow loads, whatever the local codes require, and then we actually design the components individually. We design the steel deck, and we design the steel beams, the columns, the drilled pier foundations, all the components of it, how they go together to form an overall solid structure. We make sure that there's absolutely no possible way that what we're designing could be susceptible. We don't just design it for the minimum criteria. We look at the circumstance, anything that could possibly happen, and design the foundations to accommodate any circumstance that could come along.
The goals in the future for the company show through the years, that of integrity, service to our clients, just helping them in whatever way we could, as well as developing relationships with our clients, because I believe that's very, very important to be able to, at the end of the day, not just produce a good product, but also to have a relationship with our clients in a way that they know that we support them, not just professionally, but also on a personal nature as well.
Frank Neal and Associates, an amazing story, an outstanding legacy. I'm Scott Murray.
Well, that does it for this edition of Close Up on America's Business. I'm Janice Marie. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.